it's just so weird with perspective and time and like these big life moments that fucking suck and hurt so much, but they make you grow so much.
Yeah. Those comments aren't what made me leave this man. Like, it was like having to come from a really deep sense of, I want more for myself. My self-respect has showed up to the game, and it's different now.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to Acting My Age podcast with me, Rahini Elise. Happy fucking Wednesday. We have a...
Wait, isn't it Tuesday?
No.
But it comes out on Wednesday.
Oh, guys, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
Guys, I'm so sorry. Start over.
Okay. No, it's okay. I like that. Add some character. So, as you can now tell, we have some guests on the podcast tonight. We have my best friend in the whole world, Katherine, who's been on here a lot of times. She's my main bitch, and you guys know a lot about her already. So, and she's highly requested. She's basically a celebrity guest star on this podcast.
Thank you.
And then we also have Amber.
Hey, guys.
Who is also one of my very bestest friends. We're like reconnecting now. She and Katherine played volleyball together in high school, and that's how I met her. And then we reconnected when I moved back, and now we just hang out a lot, and it's really fun. And I feel like we are...
Eastside hoes.
Yeah. Eastside hoes. And also just like confidants for each other, especially today. Like I was like, guys, I'm really stressed. And we all went on a walk and I ranted and cried and talked about our feelings. And it's just really nice. We're all there for each other. So I thought that these ladies had a lot of nice things to share that could potentially help a lot of you guys listening, or at least just sound kind of familiar and make you feel like you're not alone. So, this podcast is mostly going to be on relationships and the many forms they can take and all the things we can learn from them. And yeah, I think it's good to have other perspectives because I'm fucking married at 23, which is really weird. So I think it's good to have different perspectives on. So yeah.
Good for you, though.
Welcome, guys.
We love that for you.
I'm so happy you're here. And also, if you're listening, don't forget to go to the YouTube channel because there's a video version of this, and it's going to be way more fun to watch because we're drinking wine, we're hanging, you can see our facial expressions. I'm literally holding a crystal, and they're holding wine, and she's holding crystal, so it's fun to watch it. So just go to the YouTube channel, Acting My Age Podcast, and yeah, let's get into it. Thanks for tuning in. I don't know if you guys said hi yet, really, so they know whose voice is who.
Okay. Hey, everyone. I'm Amber.
And I'm Katherine.
And we're so excited to be on here today. This is my first time, so I'm a little nervy, if I'm being honest, but I feel like I'm just vibing with my girlfriend, so... You know, and talking about important things that I hope that everyone can kind of relate to, or maybe if you don't, maybe you know someone who could relate to this. So I'm just excited to be here, and so thank you, Rahini, for having me.
Thanks for
But
coming
I'm
on.
excited to just hang out with my girls, have a little girl chat, and just kind of dive into some of the stuff that we don't always talk about every day, right? So
Yeah, important things that might not come up every day, but are super good. Okay, so I thought I wanted to start it off with Katherine giving y'all an update because the last time she was on this podcast, she was going to be moving to LA. She just got out of a relationship, and things have really changed since that day. So if you want to just take it away, Kath. So much shit happened.
No.
You are a whole new woman. You're thriving. There's so much going on.
Yeah, so that day when we recorded that podcast was very monumental.
Yeah, big day.
Yeah, big day, big transitioning day, for the better. Yeah, we talked about me moving to LA, no longer moving. That's a big update.
Woo,
But
she's staying.
since then, I've kind of just, what's that called? Sprouted, I think.
She's sprouted.
Transformed. I'm a new girl, you know. I like shed my old snake skin, got rid of the fucking snakes, and
Got out of the fucking snakes.
and I just glow differently.
She really
You
does.
guys.
Maybe
really
it's
does.
the skincare. Maybe
It's
it's
the wine.
the
I
wine.
don't know.
Maybe it's a whole new person.
Maybe it's the new.
New me, new beat.
Yeah, new me, new Bebo. Who?
So what happened?
Oh.
What happened that day after the podcast?
So obviously I was sad. Everyone's sad after a breakup and they're hurt.
Things
and they're
ended
trying
on
to
a pretty good terms, we thought.
Yes, yeah. We were going to try and be friends and be in each other's lives because we were, a big part of each other's lives for like 8 years. And then it took a turn for the worst. Now better, actually, but he cheated on me. I think he lied about his depression. Who knows? But basically, I just kind of left the whole situation feeling sorry for him and wanting to still give everything I got to like make this whole entire friendship work so we'd stay in each other's lives. And then that night that we recorded the podcast, I had a sleepover with Heen, and then I found out kind of like how this whole thing went down, and that I don't know how much I don't know how much I say. Well, the tea is really strong.
It's really hot tea.
hot piping tea.
Hot tea.
So, yeah, I just got fucked over, hurt a lot, cried a lot that night, and then we just got drunk, and then I was kind of like over it, and I didn't cry about it for like a couple months, and because I was just like, of course, just like icing on top of the cake. Of course, he would do this to me. It makes sense.
Realizing a lot of things about the history of your relationship.
Yeah, basically, I'm just really nice, and I'm a pushover for the people I really like, and now I'm just got a heart of steel, and it's changed me.
Okay, wait. I feel like I need to step in. I think
Okay.
Kat. I remember her telling me these things, and I think.
Heart of steel my ass.
Yeah, I mean, she says she doesn't cry for months, but I don't know if that's 100% true. But she was very strong about the situation. Kat holds a certain grace and strength to herself when it comes to every situation. So it was apparent in her breakup, but I think validating those feelings or kind of just like working through those. It was a long relationship for you, and unboxing all of the things that maybe were years before, or maybe the more recent actions of the unfaithfulness and things like that. That was just a lot to unpack, and it's not really the ideal year to do that. Or COVID wasn't. Still 21. I have hopes for you, dog, but not really. So it was just a lot for you to unpack, and I think you're still working through it now. But she has a lot of strength, and I don't think it was just like this whole episode happened for you and you were fine. Mm-hmm. I think you went through a lot emotionally, maybe behind the scenes, as you weren't always like very verbal about it. But I think it's still a work in progress, and like if this happened to you or things like that, like to feel emotional or to cry about it all the time and things like that, it's important to know that that's normal. Like that's super normal. And everyone processes things differently, so everyone's on a journey. But I think Kath is just a really strong person. So I admire your grace
definitely.
and your strength.
Thanks, Sam Bam. Yeah, like I definitely was very sad and everything, but I think like when I did find out, that was already like I think like a month or so, maybe a month and a half, like out of like being separated and everything. We weren't living together anymore, and I was in my in-between place.
Moving into your new
like
place.
moving into like a temporarily new like little cottage and stuff like that until I made my move to LA. And then I think the distance really helped me realize it a lot quicker. Like I could have just like sat there and like been sad and like tried to get answers and everything like that from him, but just the space that we kind of established, it just like made me like I was just so tired of like being upset and feeling sorry for myself and being like crying and just so sad all the time that I was like, fuck, like I'm like literally getting sucked dry. Like I don't
giving him your energy.
I don't have any more left in me to like cry. Like I literally couldn't cry after the next day. I just like
no tears left
I would
to cry.
say it out loud, and then it was just kind of like comical at that point because I was like, of fucking course, bro. Like this happens. Cherry on top of the fucking whatever cake it's called. And
the shit cake.
yeah, like it just like made sense now that we were apart, and I could see all the red flags much more clearer after I've taken a step back.
Would you be open to talking about some of the red flags?
Where do I fucking start?
Just in case anyone listening might relate.
Yeah, like God, they might feel like triggers. I'm getting hot. Yeah, like some of the red flags were like diminishing my feelings or me being sensitive. Like it was always kind of like if I wanted to share my feelings or open up or express something that I was upset about, it was more like, gosh, you're so sensitive, or you're always so like dramatic or extra, like, and it would just make me feel like I had to just like bury all my feelings underneath the rug all the time, because if I said it out loud, then it's like, oh, I'm wasting his time, or like I already, when I wanted to express my feelings, I knew what he was going to say back. So I would just kind of like stop, and then I would get defensive and be like, oh, like my feelings are valid, like I need to share them with you. And then other times I would just be so emotionally exhausted that I just didn't even want to have that conversation, so I just would hold it all in. And then that kind of rolled into the habit of me holding it in and not expressing that to like my family or my friends. And so a bunch of my friends and family didn't even know what like I was going through like for the past few years, because I was like, I don't want to like explain this to my friends or family after we make up and like have to like re-up his reputation, you know, like like credit, what's that called, make him credible again, or like have my friends and family trust him again.
I think a perfect example of that was when I found out. I think we hadn't connected in a while. We've been friends for a long time, and we played volleyball together. We were inseparable for a long time, and she went to college separately, and I did too. So for me, when we reconnected, we've seen each other a few times on and off every year, but I think the most recent time was it? I don't know what it was. Yeah, Halloween.
I hadn't seen you in a while, and I was honestly expecting this person to be there, and I remember asking, and granted I had a few, this is so bad, I had a few drinks in me, and I was like excitedly like, oh, where is so-and-so, and that was the fucking wrong question to ask.
That was the night you know who moved out, and I wasn't going to go to the Halloween party at Rohini's house because I just wanted to be like a sorry bitch and stay at home, but then Rohini was like, you can't just
you're just going to be staring at your combined couple's costume in the box next to your bed and want to fucking die, so you have
I was
to
like,
come.
fuck, I guess I'll come. And then that night I downloaded Tinder.
Which started a saga for us, which I can't wait to talk about, you guys. It's so funny.
Downloaded Tinder, and I was like,
sexy
fuck it.
space cowgirl.
I got ready, and then right before I left, he got home. I was like packing up his stuff, and then I was like trying to get answers, and I was like, nah, fuck it. And I was like, I just went to Rohini's house. Then I got blackout drunk, and then Amber and her twin arrived, Amanda, and she was like, oh, where's,
So-and-so.
Yeah, where's so-and-so?
And I felt like absolute trash, you
And I
guys.
just, like,
I
looked at
saw
Kath
the look
and
on
she
her
just
face.
looked at-
Actually, I looked at Rohini first because usually our type of relationship, you would have just been like, oh, he's not, or like you just looked like empty. I mean, it was sad. It was so sad to see, but I looked at Rohini and I was like, oh, shit. Like, I just hadn't heard a lot, or we just hadn't been this close
and
at the
it just
time.
happened too.
It was like 12
you
days,
weren't
10
like
days.
telling anybody really.
Yeah.
I think the only person I told was Rohini, and then like even my other friends that reached out, like I just didn't talk to anyone for like 10
Because
days.
I feel like you kind of thought it wasn't. You thought
official.
You thought it might reverse or something might change. Like it wasn't really hadn't really sunk in yet.
And it was like really, really recent, and so it was just like fresh wound, and it was like pouring salt water in it and everything.
Yeah.
And it was hard. But Amber asked
My
me,
bad. I think it comes from you just like maybe thinking that it wasn't completely over, or not like wanting to have
Just
to
not
like defend him to
expecting
me
that.
or whatever. Because I get that, but I felt like crap. So for the record, but I mean, she was with everyone. She was being her normal self, and I mean, enough so that I asked about it. So kudos to you. But I know behind the scenes you're obviously going through a lot. So there's a lot to that story. But I'll let you continue if you want to talk a little bit more.
Yeah, so like we had that Halloween party, and like I think I was trying to act okay and everything, because like, like Rohini like basically like dragged me. I was like, you need to come here and have fun, and so I was like, okay, fine. But I didn't look good. Like I had just chopped off like 12 inches of
you
my
looked really
hair.
good.
She looked hot. Everyone,
I think
don't
she
listen
looked
to her
really hot.
seriously.
I was like, I lost
putting
a lot
on
of
a brave
weight.
face.
No, I
You did
didn't
lose a lot of
feel
weight.
healthy. Like I lost like 20 pounds in like 2 weeks. I didn't eat like anything, and I was just like so sad. I wasn't sleeping. Like my eyes were puffy. Like I just was like really trying to like, okay, I just need to move on. But I was still living in our house together, and that was the day that he moved out. And so like I was just like reliving like our life together over and over again, just by myself though. And I was still not coming to terms. Like I tried like writing a letter, like just confessing like my love and everything that I would do to like fix things.
That was the saddest thing.
It was like the biggest, deepest like rejection that I've ever experienced in my life.
And it just shows what kind of person you are. Like literally he breaks your heart and you're just like, I'll do everything for you. Like, what do you need? I will literally do anything you want.
Yeah. Like I and the things that I was like saying in the letter, like I knew they were wrong. Like I knew they weren't things that I should do and should put in a relationship. But I just thought like, I need to just like
One
tell
last
him what he
time.
wants to hear. Like this is my Hail Mary. Like I was like
you-
begging. I was literally begging, like on my like knees, and I was just like asking him not to do it, because I just really thought that we would like work it out, even though like a part of me like really deep down was like, it's not gonna work out. Like I knew that we shouldn't be together long term, but I was so scared of like being on my own.
You had so many plans too for the future.
Like we were looking at a house. We were about to buy a house. Like we were like got a loan and a mortgage officer, like everything. And I was like really hesitant to like sign the paperwork for the bank and like the
All these little inklings.
like it was just like I felt like in my gut it was really wrong, but I was like, I'm so invested already. Like I just need to just sign the thing and get it over with, and I'll ride it out till I die, basically. And I now know that's like it's not.
Did you ever share that letter with him, or is that just something you wrote personally?
Okay. I wrote it when he was gone. Like it was like a night that he didn't come home and everything, and I like wrote it. And then when he came home like late at night, I wasn't sleeping, and I just like heard the door open. I ran downstairs and I just like sat on the couch and asked him if I could read him something I wrote, and he said sure. And then I read it out loud, and I was just like bawling my eyes out, and all he gave me was, "I'm sorry you feel that way." That's it.
Did you already talk about how he broke up with you, basically? Because that was like what was kind of, once you found out that he was cheating on you, and it wasn't like he just cheated on her once, like he was actively cheating on her, like he had another girlfriend.
Yeah.
A coworker, you might say.
We're getting exposing.
Yeah.
Whatever you're comfortable with. You don't have to say like total specifics, but
no, like the reason we broke up was, I mean, we were having like problems and struggles all the way up, like really tough ones since I think like February. We broke up in October, and it was like tough in February. I went back to school in January, and in Pullman at Wazoo, and it was like an hour drive or a 5-hour drive, but we would see each other every weekend and everything. And then it was just getting really tough, and we would just try to like supplement it with like, let's go on this fancy date, or let's on a little couples trip, or like relax. And like we would try to like spoil each other so much that just like to cover all the like issues that we would have.
Like the good has to come out.
Like, yeah. And there would be moments like of it where I admit like it would be like very good things, but like I was like losing my like love for myself. I didn't really like who I was, but I just thought, oh, I'll change. I'll get back to my old self eventually. Like we'll get on that same page. But the reason we broke up, he just like said that he was like depressed, and that he doesn't have any space in his heart for his emotions. Like he just wants to be alone. Like he couldn't be around anyone. He needed to just like be on his own. He didn't have anything of his own his whole entire life, or the past 8 years, because we shared everything. Like we
wanted independence.
Yeah, like he wanted his own space, his own furniture, his own bank account, and everything. And I'm like, okay, yes, I get it. And part of the letter was like, okay, how about you, like we split our bank accounts again, or we like give each other designated spots in the house, like to have your own space. And I was just like compromising to the max, and
you were losing yourself to save a relationship is really kind of hindsight what you can see now, but in the moment it felt like what was right, or like what it shows who you were like in the relationship, like what you would do for someone else. But now looking back at it, it was just kind of seems like a lot of extra effort from you and maybe not reciprocated. So
And that's what after you found out he was cheating on you, that's like what made a lot of sense, because literally wasn't like a week before you were going to put an offer in on the house. Like it was so recent to when he randomly was like, I can't do this anymore. He was like, let's go to Marshall's and let's go get candles. And he was literally doing all these things, like trying to butter you up and be the perfect boyfriend. And then 1 week later, he's like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. And like it was so hot and cold and so weird. And he's like, don't touch me. Like just really weird, things. Like it was just all of a sudden going from complete hot to complete cold.
What do they call that? I think it's like, guys, I might be wrong, but like love bombing. So they they will love bomb you, if you will, to like make you just be totally infatuated or feel like everything is good, just so that you ignore whatever's coming next, stuff. Right? And I feel like that's a super important piece in your story, my story included. But love bombing is sketchy. There are some like really genuine people that are just always love bombing.
Yeah, hella romantic,
I mean?
just like, but when you know that's not their actual personality, it's like, this is
or
weird.
If it's like super out of the blue, not that I want you to question your partner, but like I don't know, man. Like, that's just different. But anyway.
Yeah. Like, he would, like, spoil me. Like, all of a sudden, like, we had gone on like these special trips together. We had went to Vegas with our friends and like just dropped fucking bands, and then like a month later we went to Arizona on like just a trip for just us two, and we just like we would spoil each other like going out to eat, and we would like shop and things that we wouldn't usually do, and we had like this really important conversation in Arizona, I remember, by the pool, where like we were about to sign. We had already had like the whole house thing set up and everything, or to get a loan, and then like I just like had to say it, and I would just say like, hey, I'm still in school, and like I think I really want to like live in San Francisco where my school is based out of. And he was so quick to jump to be like, I think you should do it.
Yeah,
and then I was like,
that.
what?
Yeah,
and then I was like, but I want to be with you. Yeah,
that it was like, ooh.
Yeah, and I'm skipping a lot of things and stuff like that. But even in the summertime, like deep summer, I think like July, August, like I think I finally just like cracked and I couldn't hold it anymore. And I called Rohini one day on my way to work, and I was just like, I think we're gonna break up.
And the owl came.
Yeah,
that's when the fucking owl came.
Yes, and if you don't know what owls mean, they
what the hell does that mean?
Like owls just like symbolize like a change is coming. Like
we were literally sitting in the backyard. Never seen we're in the city basically. Never seen a fucking owl. All of a sudden, Katherine and I are sitting out there. She's bawling her eyes out, pouring her heart out, talking about how she wants to change, and then this white owl, the most beautiful looking owl I've ever seen, is sitting on the tree right next to us, staring at us for literally like 8 minutes. Yeah. Like it just stared at us, blinked at us, didn't move, and we were like,
oh, that's cool, guys. I did not know that.
Yeah. And I was like crying because I think I was just like craving this change so much. Like that summer where I was like, okay, I know I'm on the right track. Like I've always wanted a big home and like to build my home and start a family young and like just, you know, like be a mom like really early on. And I just thought like, okay, well, I don't really need the college life. Like I can just do it online and just, you know, get into this whole entire like settling mode really young. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I like just like woke up one day, and then I just had these really strong feelings for like, I just thought it was going to last a couple of days, but it lasted weeks and months. And I finally brought it up to Nick, and I was like, I want to join the Peace Corps. Like I want to like volunteer and like make little goodie bags for all the homeless people in Seattle or around our town and everything. And I was like, I want to travel, and I want to get rid of all of our stuff and like do these things. And then it like really hurt when like he just didn't listen to any of it. Like he would literally just not listen to it. It was like talking to a wall. Like
when you're out there, yeah.
And it was just like, I think he like called me like a hippie, and then and he, bitches fucking no, I'm not. Like
I'm converting her slowly.
Yeah. But like
you're not quite there yet. You're not there yet.
No, but you're not. I know that was a joke.
And like another time, I got a birth chart reading, and I just like felt like all my Rohini got me, her mom to do a birth chart reading for me, and like all the feelings I had been burying underneath the rug just like came to the surface.
It was like travel.
Someone like it's like all my feelings were just validated, and I was like, whoa, this is like the first time in like forever where it just like feels right. Like I just thought I was going through a phase, and I just like wanted to like do this free spirit.
Mom.
Yeah, and I just thought I was like, oh, I'm just trying to be a free spirit, whatever. But like Nick and I have always been so like checklist on this life, like you know, like going down the checklist in life. Yeah, like trying to be perfect or trying to live to the standard and stuff. And then when her mom gave me the birth chart reading, she read it to me, I just like bawled my eyes out. And then I went to go share it with Nick because I had taken notes and recorded and everything. And I was like, hey, this is what happened. Like, this is everything I'm feeling. And like, how did she know this? Like, I want to share this with you. And like, he fell asleep like when I was reading it to him.
Oh my God, you're shitting me.
No. And it just like hurt so much where like I wanted to like, like act up and be like, really, like that really hurt my feelings and stuff. But I just knew I'd be wasting my energy. And so I just like shed a tear. I didn't even bother him. And I just like got up and walked into the other room, and I think I did homework or something.
Yeah. You were accustomed to that. Like, I feel like over the years, or like not validating your feelings, or gaslighting is a great word, everyone, but that's really what happened. Like,
using proper
made
context.
you feel like you were crazy or whatever that looked like. You just kind of stopped letting that person know that you were upset because it didn't ever go anywhere. I mean, that's totally what it is. So you not feeling like you should finish your story if you fell asleep, valid. Like, get up and leave. And I mean, I think at this point you kind of knew that things were off, but
yeah. And I think it was just like an accumulation of things where like I knew things were going down the wrong road, and it was getting really hard to repair. Like it would be close to impossible to, you know, like fixing it and being back on the terms we were in the beginning of our relationship.
You're still in for the fight though.
Yeah, like I was like, I just don't want to give up. Like I love this man, and like I know there's like someone like really, really good in there. There's so much history, and he was like part of my family. Helped raise my nephews. Like
I want to mention the fact that you said like there's a really good man in there, and there's so much history.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm getting like every comment I make, I feel like it's so deep or like existential or whatever you want to call it. But like just because the person you met however many years ago, maybe months or whatever, like if they're not showing you that now, like you should believe them, right? And so I think it's a lot of that plays into emotionally abusive or just that like that game that you get into. You hold on to the things that were good, right? That's like what you want to do in every relationship. So the fact that like that's what you were thinking on, or that's what kept you in that relationship, and like I don't want you to feel embarrassed about that, or like to think that people didn't understand or feel stupid or whatever, because I think everyone has, maybe not everyone, but a lot of people have been in the same boat and like didn't want to talk about it because they were embarrassed that like from face value, from people outside, like that looks like a dumb decision or that's
Seems
so
obvious
obvious
from the outside,
but when you're in it, it's a slow thing over time. There is so much history, which still is a valid thing to think about when you're with someone, but depending on how long that goes on or if that person's willing to make an effort and all these, there's so many different things, but it just kept you in that. And I think not that you didn't have great times in a relationship, but it was just like prolonging that like self-discovery and all that stuff that I'm seeing you on now.
Yeah, that's where I want to go now.
yeah.
Talking about what that forced you to focus on and how you've grown, because you have motherfucking grown so much in the last couple months. This is the happiest I've ever seen her. The most energy, the most full of life, the fucking literally the definition of thriving. Like, and I know obviously that you still have your issues, everyone does, but like you are just, I'm so proud of you. So yeah, so what did it force you to do basically? Now you're on your own. You don't have this relationship anymore. You were betrayed and you realize you gotta fucking focus on yourself.
Well, now I've definitely space and boundaries have really helped me just like establish like how to understand my feelings. Like I've always felt like I've really been in tune with my feelings and stuff, but I just didn't know what they always meant. And now just being alone, like I was so scared of being alone. I was like frightened to my core. Like I thought like, oh, I'm not going to be independent enough, or like, cause he would tell me that like I couldn't be alone, like without him, like I wouldn't make it or something. And I wouldn't believe it. But for some reason, like I didn't understand, because I've always felt so independent my whole entire life. And I've like taken care of this man and like myself, and I've dealt with like family and friend issues and school, things that everyone goes through in life. And I was just so scared, like, oh, if I don't have this like confidant, or if I don't have this person person to lean on while I'm going through all of this stuff, oh, then like shit hits the fan. Like there's no luck for me. Like, like there's no chance for me. But then like just finally being alone, like forcing myself to be alone. Yeah, because he fucking left. Like he literally moved out. So I was like forced to be alone. I like just started getting comfortable with the fact of like being physically alone and emotionally alone, and it just kind of forced me to learn how to process my own emotions. Also like process my own emotions by myself, but also being okay like and comfortable with opening up when I don't feel okay, or if something's going wrong with something else in my life. Like I can tell my friends, or I can tell my family. Like
leaning on your friends and your family.
Like I never used to do that. Like I just wanted to act like put a brave face on, or act like everything was okay all the time. Because
but I think that's in like attempts to, I don't know, I hear people say this all the time, like there's things you should share with your friends, or there's things that you shouldn't, and it's like in attempts to not have to, like there's that joke, or I don't know, I've seen it on TikTok, but it's like, I already told my mom about you. You know what I mean? So it's like in attempts to like every small thing that maybe you do overreact to, or maybe you're totally not. But if you're in this sort of situation, the gaslighting or things that make you question your like intuition and everything, you don't know like, the whole reality, or if you're actually bad or not. So it's like, I think that was in attempts of not having to make those explanations later to your friends. So I don't blame you for that.
Yeah.
Like, so being able to process my emotions, being okay with establishing boundaries and not feeling bad for it, like, and honoring those boundaries, and like feeling confident enough to like stand up for myself for those boundaries. Like if I don't want to go out that night, I don't want to go out tonight. I don't need to give you an excuse. I don't need to make up a lie or anything. I just flat out say
Or
it.
if you do want to fucking go out,
Yeah, I just go out.
you don't have to tell anybody.
I've gone on like pretty long benders.
If you don't want to go, if you want to go shopping, you don't have to ask for permission
Yes.
from anyone. If you want to go on a fucking 3-day vacation, wherever, you don't have to ask.
Yeah,
like you're
it's,
just
it's
living for
freedom.
yourself.
Like I get to buy whatever I want from the grocery store. That was the first realization
Yeah.
I had. Was like I didn't eat for a really long time, but like
Definitely had
and I love to eat. Like I was getting a little chunky, but like I
Now
like,
you're a
love to
chef.
eat.
Yeah, now I'm like a chef,
And like I would go to the grocery store and I was like sad because that was like one of our favorite things to do. And then I started realizing like,
Holy
OMG,
fuck.
like I can buy whatever
I can
the
buy the
fuck I
vegan
want.
bougie fucking sauces
Yeah.
and like all these
I
things.
just thought I always had to
And
like
then yeah, ahi
compromise.
poki every
and,
meal.
and my whole freezer was just full of meat and everything. And now I'm like, I don't want meat.
I don't want red meat, bitch.
Seafood. I want like vegan sausage and stuff like that. And
I want oat
so
milk.
like it's just been like a big thing I think, and is like the biggest blessing that I've had so far is realizing that like I can like the amount of like love and effort and care I put in this man, like it's so like the tables have turned. Like I put it all in me now, and I'm like, holy shit! Like
We love that.
I'm,
We
like,
love
I'm getting
that.
spoiled every day by me. Like I get to cook whatever I want. I get to shower whenever I want. Like I get to do
I
laundry.
get to shape my pussy whenever I want.
I get to like do my laundry whenever I want. Like I don't have to like I had to do laundry every single week for this guy because he ran out of underwear and everything. And now I'm like,
Fold
I can
it, put it away.
I can do laundry every like 3 weeks now, and like I don't do the dishes every day after school, after work,
After school.
yeah, after work or after dinner or whatever. And like I think it's just the amount of time that I've had. It's forced me to, I guess, just overall be more comfortable with my emotions, learn how to handle them, and just like be kinder to myself.
Invest
like
in
this is
yourself.
like I feel so. I've already told Raheem, like I felt like I don't know when it all started happening. I think it happened after that day when I found out and everything. Because I was like, oh, I'm sad for one day, but literally, fuck it. Like, it all makes sense. Not shocked with everything that he did to me in the past. And now I just gave myself like 110% of myself. And I like just started like bawling out on myself. Like, I didn't care about like materialistic things, even though I like spoiled myself with like things and stuff. But, like,
Shopping.
you know, like,
Girl knows self-care.
yeah,
You
like
know-
I was
yeah.
like self-care to the max, like bathtub, like bougie this, or like
Crystals.
all night, like whatever I want, anything I wanted to do. And it just like, damn, like how come I wasn't, I knew it was really wrong, and it made it easier for me not to reach out to him or like want to try to like mend things when I started realizing like, whoa, I didn't love myself like at all throughout that whole entire relationship, because I've never felt this. Like I'm still in love with me. Like now, like, I'm like finding myself. Like I'm literally like finding. I'm like, well, I love me.
Literally,
I
I
love
love that.
me.
That is the best
And-
thing ever.
It's just been like a real blessing, and it's like I still get sad at times and be like, shit,
Yeah,
like,
of course.
I can be this. I can like be this nice and do this much for a person, and then they can still like do you like that. But it's not a reflection of like who you are, or
Reflection of who they are.
yes, it's a reflection of how they are. It's not that he disrespected me enough to do that to me. Like he doesn't respect himself enough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why
That's the tea.
he lashed out and did those things. And so it's just, I think key is to like not to take things personally. It's
Ooh,
not
yep.
it's not against you. It's not,
Easier said than done.
yes, very easier
That's
said
in
than
the Four
done.
Agreements, that book that I really like. That's one of the
I
main
bought it.
things.
I bought it.
Oh,
It's on my bedside now. It's
The
my next
main
book.
one of the main things. Don't take things personally, because they're
Yes.
not about you. Like 99% of the time, they're about them.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that helped me realize that is space. Like,
Yep.
like if I still lived in our old same place, or if
No.
he still lived there and everything like that, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now. But I was like super adamant about like just starting over. Like I got rid of a lot of our things. Like I gave so much shit to Rohini and to her friend Emma. For
I got some things. Yup.
And we also just abandoned so much
I
stuff.
abandoned a shit
The other
ton
day,
of
she's like,
things.
"Where's my stepladder? Do you have it?" I'm like, "I don't think so." She's like, "Did I fucking leave that?" Like,
Where's,
like-
where's my crock pot?
yeah. She just pieced.
Yeah, I didn't want like literally. I even
Didn't
like
want the
got
baggage.
new underwear. I didn't want
Yeah.
any underwear
New
that
lingerie,
any man took
everything.
off.
Yeah.
Like new closet. I got rid of like
Oh,
every
yeah.
single thing. 'Cause I'm
Shed
so
all the
sentimental
layers.
that
Yes, you are.
that anything I look at, I'm like, fuck, that reminds. Like this plant I'm looking at right now is from our
Yeah.
fucking house, and I'm
Yeah.
like triggered, low key. But it's okay. Like
It's kind of dying anyway. So.
yeah, whatever. But like
Yeah.
just separating yourself from all those memories and everything. I know it's so much easier said than done. I just recently like deleted photos and everything, but like
I think I encourage you to do that the first I don't know if you had already done some of
No,
that.
I just did it like recently, but just
Little cleanse.
Yeah, like I'm cleansing a little bit at a time, and I know I'm on the right track. And I think I remember telling Rohini that I was still really emotional in the beginning, and I told her
Of
like,
course, yeah.
Rohini, if like now that I found all this stuff out, like if I ever go back to this guy, because I went back to him like 4 years ago after something else happened.
After he cheated on you.
Yeah. And like I told him, like, if I ever go back, or if he ever shows up on my doorstep, like just fucking kill me, okay? Like just literally just kill me right then and there. Like
This is on record though, so.
yeah, no, like literally, I was like, I know I would never. I just like I would picture sometimes. I'm like, okay, what if he would say this, and like, I wouldn't just like totally humiliate him and be like, don't even talk to me, whatever. Like, I think now I've kind of come to the point where I don't want to hold space for like any negativity. I don't want to lash out, get revenge, or
That's great.
Yes.
like do anything to like get back at him or like hurt him in the same way that he did, because that's a lot of effort, like a lot of effort, and I was so exhausted mentally, physically,
wasting your
emotionally.
energy.
And now I've just like kind of put all that in me, and I'm like, oh, I'm like rejuvenized, but like,
You're
I don't want to do that anymore. Like I'm not.
He doesn't deserve any one more ounce of your energy or your focus.
And I think that also kind of leaves him on edge a little bit, because now he's like scared that like someday it's gonna happen where I just like lash out, but who knows?
It just shows who you are. Like, it's really like seeing you in the relationship versus now. Like,
Different.
it's so clear from the outside, and I think you know this now too, that it was supposed.
It was
to
over
happen.
before it ended.
It was supposed to be like this, which is like. It's so weird because a year ago, if I told you, like, it's just so weird what perspective and time and, like, these big life moments that fucking suck and hurt so much, but they make you grow so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, because I want to talk about Amber too.
Yeah.
That's all good.
What is your focus now? Like, what are the main things that you do for yourself, and like, what's your focus? What's your vibe now?
My vibe now, I would say, is just like really taking care of my body, like my mind, my whatever, this body.
This body.
I like work out often now. I try to
Literally
eat
every
really
day.
like clean,
So amazing.
really healthy, just like foods that just kind of nourish, like just like fuel me.
She's on her healthy.
Like
beat,
I read
really.
again. I haven't fucking read since like 3rd grade. I didn't even read in high school.
She's honestly over here making me feel bad. Like, because we're on kind of similar journeys, which you'll learn soon, but like, she'll send me Snapchats or whatever of like the food she made, or like that she's reading, and I'm like, okay, literally, I love you, but fuck you, bitch. Like,
Like I'm like really living. It sounds so cheesy and be like, oh, I just want to like act like I'm all okay and everything, but like I really feel like I'm living my best life, and it really sucked to go through that process. But now I'm like focusing on like school. I really want to finish school, and I want to join the Peace Corps afterwards, and just like piece all my stuff and just like go. Like
Peace out and go to the Peace Corps.
Yeah,
Peace out for the Peace Corps.
Peace.
Peace.
And focusing on just like, I think my relationships, like my friendships, my relationship with my family.
You're so
like,
much more social.
yes, like I've always felt really social and everything but like now, like I'm okay with being alone. I don't need to be with someone all the time, but like I love to celebrate anything. Like I'm like, God, it's sunny out. Let's go out to eat sushi.
Yeah.
Like,
selfishly, I'm like, single calf is. I've seen more of you.
dangerous.
Sometimes we can't even go like a day without seeing each other. I'm like, Calf, what are you doing right now? Like, I just need the tea or whatever. So selfishly, I love it, but
I feel like that's another thing to mention that is maybe a red flag or just something to pay attention to, because Katherine, I remember you told me this, obviously you can say it in your own words too, but you were like, I have no friends here. Like, I don't have any friends here. I don't have a network here. Like, all I have is like you. Like, I don't have anyone here. I have you and Nick, whatever. We've said his name like 60 times already. But
if you're watching this,
fuck you.
give me my dog
Give her
back.
her dog back, you
Please,
mother
I
effer.
want him back.
I'm gonna
probably not gonna work.
give her your fucking dog back. I had a dream about you last night and I wanted to steal him from you, so just give her her dog back. Okay.
no threats, please.
No threats. No. Anyway, you were like, I have no friends. I have no community. I have no network here. And then once you broke up, you realize how many people you actually had. All this entire network of people who love you so much came out of the woodwork because they hated him. And now that he was gone, they're like, wait, I love Katherine so much. I'm here for her. And you have so many fucking friends. You have such a network. You have so many people that love you and care about you. But it was just literally him. So if that's like another red flag or a sign. If your friends, all of a sudden you realize you have basically no one around you, people who used to hang around you and were there for you aren't really hanging around anymore. And it's just you feel like you don't have a community and that's because of this person that you're with. Like, that's a big sign, I think.
Well, I think there's also two sides to that, though, because in my experience, it wasn't necessarily, I mean, for you. Like, I didn't hate Nick. Like, I knew him on a good level, but not, like, everything, you know?
Yeah.
I never hated him.
Just
but
the childhood friends,
I think,
saying.
yeah, for
Who
sure.
knew
I think,
him.
The would-be folk.
The would-be folk.
Yeah, no, I think, like, there's a certain piece of that emotional abuse or, like, just mistreatment that, like, you become isolated because that's the ideal situation for these type of relationships, right? So, obviously, you don't have as many friends or you don't maintain those relationships because you're so infatuated with this one person versus everyone else or whatever. But I think in my circumstance, we'll get into it, but, like, everyone hated who I was with, okay? So, there's that. But for you, like, I didn't necessarily hate this person or whatever it was, but I think naturally when you find yourself in these relationships that aren't exactly positive or a little bit toxic or whatever you want to call it, there is isolation to it. That's why it works, and that's why you stay. So it's important.
Reach out to the people that you love and you used to be able to confide in because you don't want to be embarrassed or whatever, like you said. So that's just another, like, your friends, your relationships besides this person you're with. Like, really pay attention to that because that's a big thing. If your friends and your family or whatever, your friends don't like your partner, that's a fucking sign.
Yeah.
That's a sign.
It's not that, like, all your friends are wrong.
If you have a good relationship with your family and your friends, obviously.
Yes.
It's not like if you have toxic-ass friends who hate your boyfriend who's trying to, like, help you be better. Whatever, that kind of situation.
Yeah.
But,
What did you say? That
so what's your focus now? Peace Corps, you're going to graduate, you're thriving, you're working out.
Yeah, focusing on my friends, my relationships.
My friends.
I really thought, like, the reason why I was going to move was, like, I don't have anyone.
Exactly.
I'm running. Like, I don't want to run into this guy. And Washington's like a whole state alone.
So why'd you stay?
Oh, I stayed because I just started realizing, like, I started hanging out with my friends more, and I was healing, like, faster than I thought. Like, I probably wouldn't have, like, healed or, like, moved on as fast if I didn't find out that he cheated on me. Like, I would have just felt sorry.
You was like waiting, maybe.
I thought we broke up because he was depressed, and I was like, I can't be here for this guy. I'll wait.
That's what you said when you found out. You're like, I was kind of holding out in the future that we'd get back together, and now I know this. Like, I have to completely shut that door.
Yeah.
Like, that was a final thing that pushed you to be like, never again.
Yeah, and I thought I wanted to leave because I thought Washington was, like, his because his family was here and everything. But I moved here in, like, 2010.
Yeah, it's your fucking home too.
Had all these I just thought it wasn't mine anymore because my parents had moved back home to Maui, but. Now, like, I started reconnecting with my friends.
Hashtag CAF reclaims PNW.
Yeah,
that is what.
That's literally what I wanted to do.
Get it trending.
Hashtag CAF reclaims PNW. But you literally are taking Washington back for yourself.
Yeah.
You're doing all these things that make Washington so fun that you never got to do in the relationship.
Yeah, like, I wanted to go, like, I want to go hiking. I still haven't gone hiking that much.
We're so happy, though. We're so happy you stayed.
Literally
even
so
though it's,
happy.
like, fucking muggy and rainy sometimes, some snowstorms and everything.
You
like
snowboarding?
Like, I don't even care. Like, I just find, like, really beautiful moments and, like, little tiny parts of life. Like, I literally, like, when I drive to...
You came and picked me up in the fucking snow.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, I mean, they went and got drinks and, like,
Yeah,
during
we
the
went to, like, 12
snowstorm.
places first.
Yeah.
But, yeah, whatever's open.
Like, I'm just finding, like, so much beauty and, like, such little
The amount of times this girl texts me, life is so beautiful. It's literally the best thing ever. Every time I screenshot it because it's just so true.
Yeah, that's me on her story saying life is so
It's
beautiful.
her. She's always like, life is so beautiful. I'm like, yes,
Yeah,
bitch,
like, or
it's so beautiful.
I feel high right now, bitch. Like, I'm high on life.
so high on life.
Like, I just feel all this energy. Like, I'm high. And, like,
She's
I'm
on
just, like,
another
sober.
level.
I'm, like, really sober and everything. But, yeah, like, I want to reclaim it. Like, I want to do things here. Like, before I do move, because I'm probably not going to live in Washington my whole life. But, before I do leave, like, I want to, like, do things that I never got to do here with him. Like, I want to go hiking and
making
snowboarding
your
and
own,
do all the
your
PNW
own memories
stuff.
for
and
you, nobody
hang
else.
here with my friends because I've never really been
You never
single.
yeah. Since high school, like, you've never really
I
had,
hit
like,
puberty and I've had a boyfriend since.
This bitch has been married in my mind forever.
Yeah.
So.
yeah, dude.
So
love that.
yeah, I think focusing on the friendships. And if you are in a relationship right now, whether it's good or bad or whatever, don't forget about your friends or your family. Like, just even if you love them with everything, you're like, this is my soulmate, whatever, doesn't fucking matter, bitch.
It's still
you need
really important.
You have to invest in your friends. Like, even once a week, just get the fuck out of whatever you do. Like, especially if you live with the person. Like, don't forget about them, and also don't feel bad if you haven't reached out to them for a long time. They're still gonna want to hang out with you. Like,
Yeah, your true friends will always love you and have that
Like-
spot in your heart. Like, you didn't talk to those people for so long, like some of them, and they were like, "Dude, I fucking love you. I'm so here. Let's go out." Like,
I think the longest we didn't talk was, I don't know, maybe it was a year or something. But I remember one time you were like, I'm in town, let's hang. And I'm like, let me drop everything, let me see you.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, that's what real friends are. Or maybe not everyone is the same way, but like,
yeah, like I'm connecting with like friends back from like Wazoo, like from my sorority, Amber from like high school, like volleyball, Rohini from the old days.
were you connecting with me?
And like, oh yeah, like I mean, like we've always been in touch and everything like that. Like she's been like there through it all and stuff. But like even like other friends from high school,
Yeah,
like,
a lot
other
of high
Whitby
school
people.
friends.
Like I was really, I think I was most hesitant about like telling Whitby people because they like knew what a relationship was from the beginning. And so I was like, fuck, they're gonna be like, I told you so, bitch.
Yeah, but no.
But like no, they're like just embraced me with like open arms, and it's been great. And we're about to do a casino night in a couple weeks, and get high on life.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So woohoo.
whoop 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 whoop. That's my life.
Let this, if nothing else, like let this story just be a like beacon of light. If you're in a fucking terrible situation with your relationship or whatever, it sometimes and oftentimes, I believe always, is for your highest good, no matter what it is, even if it sucks for a really long time. Like ultimately, you're gonna be better and stronger on the other side.
Yeah.
So this, like, it sucked.
Yeah, like don't feel sorry for yourself and just like throw a pity party. You can do that for a little bit.
Do that for like a day, or a
like, do
week,
for
or
a day,
whatever,
then,
but
like,
get out of it.
Yeah,
Don't
get up
let
the next day,
yourself
embrace
stay
that.
in there.
Yeah, like embrace this like love you like can give to yourself and everything, and just like ride it. Like
Figure
ride
out what
the
it's trying
life.
to teach you.
Yeah, because I just thought like, oh God, why did I get this like horrible set of cards dealt to me? Is that the saying? I guess?
Yeah.
Like, why did this happen to me? Like,
Why
I
me?
must be
Why
doing
me?
something wrong or whatever. But like now, even only like 4 months out of it, I'm like taking like fresh breaths of air or something.
Fresh aware.
Yeah, whatever
It's
it's
like
called.
super clear now that this was
It was
for the
meant to
best.
happen,
And it was, yeah.
And I remember him saying that, but I was like, "Shut up, you asshole!"
Yeah.
And now I'm like, "Oh, this is definitely for the best." Because I wish I would have done this like 3 years ago.
So maybe
But
it takes 5 years, maybe it takes 10 years, whatever it is, but just hold out hope and know that you'll get that perspective when you need it.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
everyone's
so yes.
on their own timeline, so don't feel like belittled if you
don't relate
don't go as
yourself
far. Yeah.
to someone else.
Don't compare. Yeah. Don't compare
Yeah.
yourself. Everyone's on their own
So,
journey.
That's my thing. I'm really happy
So,
now.
yes.
So we're gonna get into Am Bam.
Thank you for sharing, Copperdoodle.
yeah.
And so these girlies, I wanted on for a specific reason because I think both their stories are really common, and a lot of you guys might be able to relate. And there's a lot of wisdom and a lot of things that they can talk about. So, Am Bam. Oof. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here, and I'm really grateful you're open to sharing because I think it's super. Did you fart? What's going on? Oh,
Window.
yeah, it is kind of hot. Okay.
I think. Okay, I just want to say a few things before I start talking, just because not a lot of you know me. That's cool. I'm an open book, so, you know, luckily I feel comfortable talking about these things. But I think more importantly, it took me a long time to get to this point, but realizing that, like, my story can resonate with a lot of people and, like, make impacts on others. So that's kind of why I'm here right now. I have my phone in my hand if you're watching the video because, I get a little nervy, if I'm being honest, and I'm that type of student who, like, writes notes or just likes to write and things like that. So I just have a few notes because my story, it's pretty similar to Catherine's, to be honest, but it's a little bit different too. I think there's a couple different aspects that I want to focus on just because I was in such a dark place, and, you know, if you're in the same situation, I want you to know that you're not alone. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, some of the things I talk about, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but, like, if it triggers you or you find yourself that you're, like, in this situation, or maybe you were, like, I want you to know you're not alone. It is possible to get through it, or, you know, not everyone works on the same timeline. So I just want to make sure it's clear, like, just because where I am or, like, what I went through and where I am now, it doesn't mean that has to be the same for you. But I just kind of want to share my story and make sure, like, if you're feeling a certain way, there's other people that went through it, and there's a brighter side to it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't know where to start. I guess let me just say, like, I met these ladies, again, we've said this, I met Catherine through volleyball, we were super young. It was actually a really funny story, but we stayed close. Not like best friend vibes forever, but like we were good friends for a long time. I mean, I think we spent so many days together for...
Same sense
I knew
of
she
humor.
was a lifer.
Yeah.
Her dad knew, let me tell you that. That guy is in love,
Yeah, he
love with me.
knows.
Not a creepy way, but he definitely is a sweetheart.
They
so.
always
He
know.
knows when I meet lifers, and I just picked that up. It's a genetic thing.
It's true. And then I think the first time I met you, Rainey, was like a long time ago in high school. Prom. Was it prom or homecoming?
Yeah, you went to my house for prom or homecoming? No, prom.
Prom, okay, yeah. So in a different life, I did hair for these type of events and weddings and stuff, so I did that for them.
Hair.
But, anyway, I don't do that anymore, but that's how I first met Rohini, and then after a while, like, we just kind of separated, because Catherine, I think you moved away for a while, went to college.
I went to Maui.
Moved to Maui, all those things, so we were all kind of distant for a while, but then more recently, I think this last year, 2020, is when we all kind of, like, reconnected, and I didn't know Rohini that well, other than, like, surface level friendships and stuff, so we just started getting close, and...
When I came back to Seattle, I was like, who do I know here? Like, I want some friends, like some good gals. And then we went and got brunch, and I was like, holy fuck, she's literally so sweet. Like, she is such a good person. You can just tell from the first time you talked to her. So I was like, okay, I want her around.
Okay, but tell the story how we met, because then that's how people are gonna know how solid she is.
The knee pad thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if this is totally important, but anyway, if you're staying in for the relationship stuff, hold on, I got you. But Catherine and I met, we played club volleyball. I don't know if anyone knows what that is, but it's like, I don't know, if you're like really serious about it, beyond like high school ball or whatever, that's what you do. So we showed up for tryouts for this one club we played for, and I remember not knowing a lot of people and all this jazz, right? And I remember looking at her and seeing kind of like a fear on her face and being like, what is up with that girl? And I didn't know anyone, so I was like, everyone else seems to know each other, but this girl looks like she doesn't know anyone either, so maybe we can be friends. And I remember going over to her and approaching her, and she was like, I forgot my knee pads. And if you played volleyball, that's a big deal. Like
Especially for a new tryout.
like
I'm
a tryout.
nervous.
You die for getting the ball. Like, that's it.
Yeah, I went with my dad too, and like I'm like pretty confident. I'm not really shy. Like I'm very outgoing and everything, but I was so nervous. I was literally sitting on the ground, like backed up against the mats in this like new high school gym, and my dad was like, "Go find someone to go like pepper with, or like just to toss the ball around and hit the ball around." And I'm like, "No, Dad. Like, do you just not understand? These girls are like fucking professionals. Like, do you not get it?" And then Amber was standing alone, and she just comes up to me and she goes, "Hey, you want to pepper with me?"
I did not say
Like, yeah, no, but like, hey, you want a pepper with me? She's like, "Hey, you want a pepper?" And like, I like looked up at my dad, and I looked up at Amber, and I was like, "Yeah, but I don't have any knee pads." And then she had like an extra pair or something, and then my dad just like lit up, and I was like, "Okay, can I borrow?" And so I borrowed them, and then we fell in love.
I think she kept them for the season, but that just shows you how type A I am too. Like,
have extra
beyond
pair.
willing to help people, I was like, I got 2 pairs in case everything goes wrong.
got 2 phones.
So yeah, she's a real one.
Okay, they're way too
Let's
nice.
get into
but
it.
Thank you.
here we go.
Okay, so relationship things, whatever. So that's how I know these girls. Just in case you're wondering, this is my first time here. I don't know. It might be kind of maybe uncomfortable. It's not really uncomfortable for me. I'm an open book, but you don't really know me. But I just kind of wanted to share my story and just like make sure other people knew that this was reality for other folks, I guess. And I just said folks like I'm Southern.
No, it's okay. It's good.
So I experienced something very similar to Catherine. I was in a relationship, I think in total, just shy of 5 years. I met this person in high school sweethearts, if you will. We were originally just friends. We didn't date or anything, and then like after I left, actually, is when we like met each other at church or something. So it was just stupid and weird, but like it felt like God was telling me that this was the person, right? So anyway, we pursued a relationship together. I think I was like 16, maybe 17. So it's important to note that I was young, right? And he was as well. So he's a year younger than me. But that's just kind of how it started, and for a long time it was just love bombing and a new relationship, and everything was great, and that was I was excited to be there. So it wasn't until a long time later, or maybe it's really not that long, but maybe a year and a half, 2 years later, things started to get a little funky. Not so blatantly that I would have like ran for the hills, right? So I mentioned that stupid frog analogy earlier. Like, you just, how to boil a frog, you just start turning up the heat like really, 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 really slowly. And that's really what happened. Is there was just so much, just little things that like weren't really red flags. I think they're probably like yellow. I mean, in hindsight, that's how I viewed it. so just like really small things over time. And then eventually it built up to these greater things that, you know, make me where I am today. But I just kind of want to touch on this and say, like, I have notes. I'm going to look at my phone. So so don't judge
look
me.
At the notes.
You know, I think any abusive relationship, emotional, physical, whatever that sexual, whatever that looks like, is a hard thing to talk about. So forgive me if I don't always say the right thing, but these are just some of the things I've noticed or what I want to point out and just in my experience. But for me, I didn't experience physical abuse, so that was something that not necessarily I'm thankful for, but I'm just
not your
glad
story.
I didn't have to experience that, 'cause that's a whole other thing that I can't even imagine. So anyone out there that's experienced that, my heart goes out to you, and you know, I just can't imagine. So you're strong in your own ways, but emotional and sexual abuse was very prominent for me. So I just want to say, like, abuse doesn't always look like a black eye, and it's not always like super loud and explosive, or it's not always even easy for your family or other friends or even yourself to notice or to pick up on, especially at first. So that was something that just didn't click for me. Sometimes it's more silent. Maybe it's even like physically the silent treatment, which I got all the time, which kind of fucking sucked. Or sometimes it's more like a roller coaster of emotions, and you end up feeling like, I don't know, maybe I'm the reason I'm being mistreated, or is it in my head, or things like that. So I don't know. It can take so many different forms, and I think whatever you're in, or if you're feeling this way, or even second guessing like the situation you're in, you probably are in it. I mean, I can't say for sure, but it is very lonely. So if you're in a relationship and you feel that kind of pain and that loneliness, I would encourage you to kind of look inward and see like what's going on. It's easier said than done now that I'm out of it, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. So for me, my relationship is a lot of emotional, I guess, abuse is the word I would use. I think for the most part, I was finding myself like walking on eggshells to make sure that this person was satisfied or happy for the day and whatnot, because if he wasn't, it led to cold shouldering and a lot of actually yelling, which I'm not a fan of just because of childhood stuff, but also the cold shouldering was a lot for me because if you can't tell, I'm super extroverted. I love people. I love talking. I could talk your ear off for a million years. So that was so hard for me to be like, what did I do to deserve you, you know, not talking to me for a day or 2 days or, you know, sometimes even as much as like 2 weeks. So that was crazy. That was crazy to me. And I think another thing that's important is sometimes these relationships steal your sense of your comfort and security, and in a way that makes you feel like paranoid or crazy. So not necessarily like your actual security. I mean, some situations that might be the case, but for me, it was kind of like my emotional security and those things I felt. I didn't feel that anymore because I kind of felt crazy. He, like, you know, made me feel like it's gaslighting, right? Catherine touched on this. Like, you know, there's something, you're allowed to be upset if someone did something that hurt you, or I don't know, like you can validate those feelings. And I struggle with that all the time, even to this day. So, you know, I'm not really the one to say that, but you're allowed to be upset. And if, you know, if you want to have that healthy conversation and talk about things and that person maybe doesn't want to hear it or makes you feel like, I don't know what you're talking about, that doesn't make any sense, or maybe they turn the conversation to say, well, but you did this type of thing, or to skirt the blame. I think that was a huge thing for me because I'm like, what are you talking about? Like
narcissistic.
I worked my ass off to be like this perfect girlfriend or whatever, and obviously I'm not perfect. I'm not saying that, but you know, you work so much. Yeah, you work so hard for it, and then for them to like, for my instance, I've been cheated on too a few times within this relationship, and it's like, I would say, damn, it kind of hurt me that you did that, and then he'd be like, whoa, you did this, and I'm like, that doesn't even
being
equate.
cheated on.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't even equate. Like, it wasn't even the same. It was absolutely insane. And the fact that I'm laughing about it now, you guys, I've come
They have a funny sense of humor, let's just say.
we really do.
If they start bursting out in laughter, don't be alarmed. It's just some coping mechanisms, and I'm on board, but yeah.
They're really unhealthy coping mechanisms. If you see a therapist or anything, they'll tell you they're unhealthy, but this is kind of how we deal with it. So I'm laughing, but there's pain.
It hurts.
There's feeling behind this.
Yes.
So understand that if you feel this way,
People
you're
laugh
not laughing
sometimes.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta Yeah,
You laugh
I do
before
that
you
too.
get a shot at the doctors. Or
Yeah,
something like that. Like, that's
you
just how
laugh at
cope
your
with
own
it.
pain. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. If you're feeling this way, you're not laughing. That's normal. Okay. This is not normal. We're working on it though, ladies and gentlemen. So, anyway, I think. Where was I at? So there's like just in my relationship, there was just so many specific highs and lows. A lot of control. Jealousy is a huge trademark of abusive relationships. Like honestly, I think control falls into the whole like isolation factor. You mentioned it. I'm gonna mention it again.
Yeah.
There was, if I regretted anything most, I mean obviously I regret a few things, but again I still see the positives now, which I'll talk about later. But I think it would be letting go of some friendships or just letting this person be my whole world, if you will. Like just
Losing yourself.
yeah, like losing my friendships, or not necessarily losing them, I still have them, but you know, just really getting out of touch and just letting this person make me feel like he was the only one who would love me or whatever that bullshit is. Like that's A, not true, and B, try your hardest like not to lose your friendships and let that happen, because you should have relationships outside of your partner or whatever. I mean obviously like friendships and things like that, unless that's how you roll, but anyway. Tangent.
Polyamory.
So I just want to kind of just say, like, if you're a victim of this or you're relating to this in any sense, like, it took me a long time to think or, you know, come to this conclusion, but it's not okay. How they treat you is not okay. You're not at fault. No matter, you know, how you feel or how this person makes you feel, you're not at fault for it, and you're worthy of being loved, and you deserve happiness and respect, which is a huge thing that I'll talk about in just a second too. Your partner is broken in some sense, and you don't deserve to be broken because they are, right? So
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
that's hard to now saying that now. You only know what you know, right? So these are all things that come from like being out of the situation, but I just want to remind you of those things. And again, you're not at fault. That's just so important to me. I think one of the main things that I think my family, they'll laugh at me for if they hear this podcast, but like they really hated the guy. You know, it was obvious that he didn't treat me well and all these things, and my twins in the background, and she's just hanging out and fist pumping. Yeah, they really hated the guy, and I think something really important to note is, no matter what my family or friends said to me, and from the very minimal information that I shared with them, I was never going to change the situation unless it was my decision. And I think in abusive relationships and things like that, like it's always so great, and I appreciated all my friends and family like having their input or like, you know, trying to make me realize stuff. But at the end of the day, those comments aren't what made me leave this man. Like it was like having to come from a really deep sense of, I want more for myself. My self-respect has showed up to the game, and it's different now. Like if you're on a different timeline or you don't know when that's going to like kick into action, be patient, keep working on things. I'll share a little bit about like what I did to kind of get me to that point. But you know, you really got to want it for yourself. So
You're the only one that can make those type of decisions.
Also, I just want to add, so when on Halloween, Amber asked me all that stuff and everything. She like asked for, you know, who was and everything, and I just told her he wasn't here. We, you know, split up. She kind of just knew. But then she said she was sorry. She apologized and everything, and she goes, but you know what? I'm actually going to break up with my boyfriend on Sunday. It's in my calendar. And she had planned it out so much. Like she was so certain of this feeling that she had planned it and put it in her Google Calendar.
you guys, I'm so type A. It's not even funny.
Yeah. And so then it kind of was like, I was sad that day, but I was also like, my whole life changed that day because I just knew I was about to have this single bitch next to me, and it just went game over. So
Yeah.
Just so you know.
I'm going to derail this conversation just to touch on that for a little bit, because I think that's so important to the healing and me feeling prepared to do this conversation, because I think your relationship was a long time, so was mine. I think feeling ready to have this conversation, obviously I put it in my Google Calendar, so type A psychopath right there. I knew I was going to do it, but like having that conversation with you on, you know, that day I saw you and hearing that you had broken up with your boyfriend or whatever, it was just like, okay, I can do this. Like I'm going to have a single friend. We haven't been as close in the past, but like
You're not alone.
we're going to be, you know what I mean? So I think it is
New
really
chapter.
important. Yeah, it's really important to, if you don't have a bunch of single friends, you know, it's just still possible, but I'm going to tell you it was easier having Kath around to kind of just like work through the feelings or the dating apps, if you will, which is hilarious to me still. No, we never did that, but it's just interesting.
Later.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll touch on that in just a little bit, but I just wanted to, I have a few more things I want to share with you guys, just I think it's important, but there's a few, I've been writing notes about this for a long time, and there's a few things, I never really wanted to talk about this because I was kind of embarrassed about it. I think I was always that friend that people would come to or like feel comfortable telling their problems to, or I always want to take care of other people. That's just really how I function. So for me, you know, it was embarrassing for me to like want to help people and then have this like behind the scenes really bad shit that was happening and no one knew about it. They really didn't. And so, you know, I mean, I've shown examples or texts or whatever, and it's hard for people not to laugh because it's just wild. It's honestly wild, and I laugh now too because A, trauma response, and B, it's kind of funny. But I think it was embarrassing for me to talk about it, and I think the one thing I found is being able to talk about it and validating my feelings, which I've never been good at, has really helped me stop being the victim and like take power over the situation, if you will. So anyway, all that aside, I just want to point out a few things that if you're, you know, looking into your relationship or like, you know, Googling things, that's another thing. It's total tangent once again. I found myself realizing that things were kind of bad when I started Googling things. And that sounds so stupid and silly, but like, I didn't want to tell my friends. I didn't want to talk to my family. Obviously, I wasn't talking to my significant other because, you know, I was accustomed to...
That's a super natural response.
Right.
Even for like the silly things like, why do I have diarrhea for 3 days? Like you ask Google, you're not going to ask like whoever's around you.
Yeah, no shame in the Google history, okay?
Yeah. No, I think that's a healthy outlet, especially if you're not ready to tell your friends and family. But I think when it started to hit me as when I knew it was wrong. Or when,
that's
you know,
a sign,
like,
I guess you were saying.
when
like,
I was
that's a
on
sign.
my way to leaving or figuring out what I wanted. That was something I noticed as I started Googling, like, why did my significant other do this mean thing or whatever? And how do I act differently or all these things like, A, it's not your fault. B, like, that's just, it's just
so
a
that
red
was
flag.
what you were reading was like, this is not your fault. This is an abusive relationship.
Right.
Like,
Well,
what you were seeing was telling you that.
Yes, mixed sides. So there's actually two sides to that. So I want to make sure you're all, if you're reading the same stuff I read, be careful. So there's a lot of people that were like, hey, you're in an abusive relationship, all this stuff, and like really validated how I was feeling. But then there's also people that were like, well, what did you do? Or what's your part to play and stuff? And that's hard because your partner's already telling you, you know, or trying to change your intuition and be like, well,
yeah, trying to confuse
that's not what happened, or like what actually upset you, or what did I say, or gaslighting, right? So when someone else random on the internet is like, well, I don't know, what did you do? Like, that's really not helpful. So I don't totally disencourage, if that's a word, Googling stuff.
Discourage.
Hello. Oh my God.
It's okay.
Discourage Googling stuff. I think it was like a first step for me to realize that I was like kind of looking inward, but not everything you read on the internet obviously is real. So
yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
But if you're searching for an external source to kind of figure out what this means, like that's a good sign.
It's
That's
like your
good sign.
subconscious, like telling you, like, wake up, ho.
Yeah.
Like, open your eyes, you know.
Because I would still justify to my friends and family, like, no, like, I did this, though. That's why he did this crazy, horrible, mean, or said these horrible, mean things. My twin sister's literally rolling her eyes on me in the background, so you know I'm telling the truth. You know I'm telling the truth. But it's just wild, and you just don't really know when you're in the situation. So a few things that you can, like, look out for, I guess, that I've
some
noted.
red flags, you could say.
Yeah, and a lot of these I've experienced, some of them not so much, but I just got obsessed with researching stuff, as you know. So name calling, your partner should never name call you, okay? Just straight up, that's it.
So, like, what is that? Like, calling you, like, a bitch or
Yeah,
something?
like a bitch. Cunt is a horrible word. I hate that word. I can't believe I just said that on air. Or just, like, calling you crazy, or even minor things, like, that's stupid, or I don't even know. There's been such a range, like, it's just wild. Like, the things that are super negative, or you wouldn't want to call someone that you love, that should not come out of their mouth.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
they don't have to exactly be, like, derogatory terms. They don't need to be, like, bitch, cunt, like, like dumbass. Like they could literally just be like regular adjectives that could still hurt you, like being overly sensitive or being dramatic,
Like you're stupid,
or being like stupid. Like those still
or,
hurt. Like
that
those,
comment was dumb.
Those can still feel like an attack straight to your character, and it's not. It doesn't have to be like so straightforward, like clear, like you're being like a dumb, like overreactive, like crazy girlfriend. Like it could just be like you're not enough. Like they can still be subtle and still hurt just as deep as the very derogatory tone.
I think anything that comes out of your partner's mouth that kind of comes at your character, who you are, and you get your hurt feelings by, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, I mean, I'm sure if you've been in a situation, you know what I'm talking about. So
there's no dictionary definition of it. There's no like.
If it feels like an attack to your character,
then
it is an attack.
It probably is. Yeah. Okay. So another thing would be attempting to make you question your own memory, perception, or sanity. So that's gaslighting, ladies and gentlemen. Like, that's what it is. And I think for me now, I still really struggle with that. I remember having a conversation with my twin sister the other day, just kind of talking about my feelings. And I remember she asked me, like, oh, like, what did I say? And out of, like, a trauma response, I, like, shut down and, like, couldn't think of it because I was so used to being, you know, having my feelings come out and then being like, no, like, that's bullshit or whatever, like, all these different things. So
I just looked up gaslighting, really quick, the definition, because I think it is used a lot of ways that are not actually what the term means these days. So gaslighting, the definition is manipulate someone by psychological means into questioning their own sanity.
Okay, so that's gaslighting. And I think there's a lot of trauma that can be put behind that. And I think today I'm still working through those feelings of validating myself and not having this, like, shutdown response of, if you question why I'm hurt, I don't know. Because that's my response right now. So I'm working through, like, how to, when someone questions it, and not in a malicious way. I think more so, like, what can I do better? I have a trouble just answering that or, like, addressing it. So I think if your partner, you know, if they did something wrong or hurt you or whatever, and maybe they don't actually remember what happened or what they said, but I think a good sign or a green flag, if you will, is if your partner, like, searches for reasons that maybe they could do something different. Or maybe they don't have to acknowledge what you said they did wrong or whatever. It's not he said, she said. But if they look to, like, find reasons to make you not feel that way or what
Like,
they
if
do differently.
I did this, would this be better? Or would you feel better if I did this instead of, like, you did this? Like, how can I?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
That's, like, super healthy. That's, like, if you're in that spot.
It just speaks to the character of the man, too. It's like, or the woman and everything like that. Like, if they are confident enough within themselves to, like, own up to, like, hey, I'm not, you know, bringing enough to the table to support my partner's feelings and everything like that, I can step it up. Like, it's not a personal attack to them. They don't ever take it personally. They're like, how can I help? Like, you just know now it's actually black and white when it comes to character like that. You shouldn't question someone's intentions because of, like, their words, or you should. Is that the thing?
I don't know. I feel like if you're in that situation and someone comes at you and says you hurt their feelings, like, how would you react, right? Like,
It's
you
hard. Your ego always comes in. Rose quartz down.
I dropped my crystal, everyone.
We need a rescue me.
You know, if you were in that situation, like, how would you react or how would you want to support them and things like, hopefully you wouldn't want to be defensive. Maybe if that's the case, then, you know, there's other things that you could think about or whatever. But anyway, I'm going off a tangent, so I'm going to get back on track. Another thing that could be a red flag is invading your privacy. That was huge for me. I was cheated on, I think, a total of 4 times in this relationship. Wow. And y'all are probably looking at me like, that bitch is dumb. And I'm I'm going to laugh about it because hindsight, I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. But also, I'm going to tell you, there's so many more layers to it. So if you are in this situation. More people relate
than are thinking you're dumb. I definitely.
Yeah. So if you're in this situation, know that I've been there and there's other people. And if you have a friend that's maybe in this situation.
Haven't said, 8 different women within their relationship?
Not 8 times you cheated on, but 8 women.
Yeah.
Within their relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this shit happens.
Yeah. Maybe if you're not in the situation, but you have a friend who's been through it, like, just know that it's not as black as white for them as it is for you. Okay. Yeah. Let's see, what else I got to do? So, lack of empathy, that's a big trigger for people who, you know, just kind of are a culprit for making these type of abusive relationships. I don't really need to go into that. I think it's self-explanatory. Yeah. Objectification, I really want to touch on this, and I need to make the comment again. if I'm triggering you right now, I'm sorry. But I think this is really important to share. This kind of, for me, relates to a sexual abuse that not everyone has experienced, or maybe it's not as big of a population, but this is something for me that really fucked me up. For lack of better words, it still fucks me up. It did all these things. So I think there's a lot of different levels of abuse. Like I mentioned before, it's not always physical. It doesn't look like a black eye, all these things. For me, this is the one thing that came out of my relationship that's left like a really permanent stain, if you will. I think the emotional stuff, name calling and manipulation and controlling me and all those things, I was able to overcome that pretty quickly because my friendships were still there. I was able to recover knowing that like I'm not a bitch or all these things that he called me. Yeah. Right. And maybe that's not as easy for you, but like that was my case. But I think the thing for me that really fucked me up was this sexual assault, if you will, honestly. And it's hard to say that. And I still kind of struggled saying that right now because I was in this relationship. I made this commitment. You know, a lot of people, how do I say this? A lot of people think that like a healthy sex life is a really important part of a relationship, which I would agree with. At this time, I don't know how high that is in my priorities, but part of having sex is, you know, you have to want to.
Both parties.
Yes, and not because your partner is pressuring you into it. I think coercion in itself is abuse. And I'm going to say that again. Coercion is abuse. And I fell victim to this every day for a very long time. And I'm going to not cry, guys. If you
it's okay.
If you don't want to, and that's not what you don't have to, okay? You don't owe that to your partner. I always thought I would hear, you know, my friends' relationships, and they'd be like, oh, you know, our sex life is great, or we have sex like every day or 3 times a week or whatever. And if that's not what you're feeling, you don't have to do that.
Listen
you
to
don't
your
owe
body,
that.
listen to yourself.
Yeah, and you don't owe that. And I think honestly for me, not wanting to was a sign.
Yeah, like your body will physically reject someone, even if it is your long-term partner or someone that you are claiming you're in love with, everything that your body will reject them. Like it'll hurt, like it'll actually be physically painful when you do have sex with them, or you'll dry up, or like it'll just like actually hurt, not because it's like it's too deep or it's something like that. Like afterwards, like your pH levels will get thrown off. Like it's actually like
I'm kidding.
no, actually like your body will reject
how you feel
it
after, like your emotional
like
state.
especially like another sign is, I know it's really hard for women to focus on like orgasming or getting checked in during sex and everything like that, but if you're constantly checked out thinking about when the laundry is going to be done,
or when this is over,
what are we going to have for dinner like the next day, or like thinking about schoolwork, if you're not like in it when he's in it, like then that's a sign in all its own. Like you're not it's not mutual anymore. Like like you should be wanting to have passionate like love every single time, you know. It shouldn't you can disregard the quickie and everything that, but like, you know, no. It's
a choice. And coercion, again, I'm gonna say, is abusive. So if you
so what does that look like? Can you like
absolutely. Let me go into that. So I think it's normal for your sex drive to kind of go up and down in life. I mean, circumstantially, all those things. If you're not always on the exact same page as your partner, that's okay. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not saying like you're not sexually compatible all the time, because that just fucking happens. I mean, like, if your partner is, in my experience, it wasn't withholding sex, but that could be one of them. If they're, you know, manipulating or like making physical intimacy like the main pillar of your relationship. And what I mean by that is, say like if I didn't want to have sex that day or be intimate in that way, I would either get the cold shoulder for the whole night, which was fucking shitty, or that person would leave for the, like, literally leave my house. And that was so embarrassing to me, because it's like I said no, and I tried to have self-respect, and I knew my fucking vagina did not want it. Like, it was dry as hell. That shit hurt at that point. And I was like, I don't want this. All these things. If I didn't say yes, that person would leave my house and go make other plans, or just like not talk to me for a few days. And that was so humiliating to me. And that person was a lot of partners, not just the person I was with, are very good at manipulating the situation and making you feel like, well, that's a huge part of a relationship, and you're not doing your part by like wanting to be. You're not doing your part.
Horny for me all the time.
Yeah. Just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean that they're entitled to intimacy
Yeah.
24/7. Like sometimes
You
you guys
don't
just
owe them
aren't
that.
on the same schedule. Like, and you have to respect that. Like if you're horny and your partner's not, sorry, bitch. Like you're gonna have to go do it
Go
yourself.
masturbate in the shower.
Yeah, like you're gonna have to do it yourself. Like you need to respect your partner's boundaries, no matter what, no matter how riled up you are, and like how frustrated you are, anything that like, honestly, a foundation is like you just have to respect your partner's boundaries, physically, mentally, sexually, emotionally, like.
And
that's-
sexual abuse can happen within a relationship, a committed
Yeah.
relationship.
Just because you're in a relationship does not mean you're entitled to it 24/7.
No.
Ever.
And I think that was the thing for me is when I think the first time I realized what I was in was like really bad. I knew I was in an emotionally abusive relationship, and at the time I was like, I'm strong enough for this, yada yada. I told myself every excuse in the book. I thought sometimes it was me, whatever. But I think the first time I realized I need to get the fuck out of here was when one of my best guy friends mentioned to me, I kind of brought something up along these lines of this whole sexual manipulation, everything. And he just kind of looked at me and was like, I don't know. I can't explain the look he gave me, but it was like, that's not okay type of thing. And I was like, what do you mean that's not okay?
Yeah, like from a guy saying that, like, what do you mean? Is that like not normal?
And like this guy was
for guys?
still is and was my best friend at the time. So it's like someone who cares of me, who's opposite gender, who doesn't just want to use me as an object for sex, right? Like him validating that, I guess, was important for me. Maybe that's not how you discover this, but I'm just saying. That was kind of when I realized and started to look at like me saying no and that being an issue. And I remember having countless conversations and wanting to change this person, all these things. It's so true. You can't change a person. And no matter how much you want to, and there was even a point in our relationship where we went to couples counseling and stuff together. Oh, wow. You know, that's crazy, but you can't change a person. You really can't. So as long as, you know, you really focus on yourself and all these things, the pieces kind of come together. And so I'm kind of ranting on, but I want to get to a few other things real quick. I just wanted to touch on if you are in this relation or in a sort of relationship like this, or you've been in one, or maybe you know someone who is. These are just a few things that I've come to the conclusion of, and I just want everyone to know. First, remember that you didn't do anything wrong. So I always used to find myself kind of questioning what I was doing or if it was my fault, things like that. You didn't do anything to deserve this. You're deserving of love and happiness and all these things. You know, it's not your fault. No one deserves to be insulted, berated about what you were doing, or, you know, ashamed of things, or abused in general about, you know, decisions you make that are totally healthy and normal. It's just called living your separate life out of someone's control. So, you know, you didn't do anything wrong, okay? Another thing is, this is pretty important to me too, because it took me 5 long years to realize this, but it's okay if you aren't ready to leave right now. But ask yourself why you're not. And I think for me, I knew for maybe the last 2 years of my relationship that this is not what I wanted for my whole life. Like, it was so exhausting. Like, yeah, there was good parts. Sure, whatever. That's how you stay, right? But I didn't want to marry this person or have like a whole life and future with them. That's just not it. So I idealized it and I stayed, but I wasn't ready at the time. And no matter what anyone said to me, friends or family, things like that, I wasn't ready. And no matter what you said, I had to make that decision. And eventually I got there. So if you are friends, or maybe that's you in this situation, just know that it'll come, but it has to come from you or you won't stick with it. You'll go right back. Mm-hmm. But if that's where you're at right now and you aren't ready to do that, why aren't you? And that's a loaded question.
Forces
for me
you to go inward.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, that was the idea of leaving was so overwhelming. Like you, Kath, I didn't want to be alone. I hadn't been alone in like 5 years. That was just wild to me. It was just too overwhelming. I wasn't ready to do it at that time. There was a lot of life changes and medical things for me. I just wanted that security blanket. And just know, like, that's okay. I'm not saying your situation's okay, but to not be ready right this second when you're listening to this or whatever, that is how you feel. I want you to validate that, but really focus on why are you not right now, and then work towards a solution to kind of like combat why you feel that way. For me, that was therapy, to be honest. I'm a huge advocate for therapy. I think a lot of people
sorry, I have an itch. A lot of people in past generations have kind of put like a social stigma on those who see a therapist or like weak or whatever that looks like. And for me, I've always found a lot of empowerment in that. And I've been to therapy like 4 times, guys. So I don't know. Not that I'm like the most amazing person ever, but I really have found a lot of peace in therapy. So
Cap also went to therapy.
Yeah, I was one of those what's it called? Skeptics of like therapy. I just thought like, why would I pay someone to tell me exactly what I want to hear? Like, why would I pay for someone? I couldn't just have a friend or something like that. But obviously, I wasn't reaching out to friends. And then I went to therapy after everything happened, and holy shit, changed my fucking life. And now I know I don't need it because I'm fine. But I still want to go. Like, I still want to go, and I think it can help you even when you aren't in a tough position in life. Like, I think everyone should go through therapy.
Yeah.
Even people that are like high on life, thinking life's beautiful every damn day.
this
like,
girl.
Like, you should still go. Like, you should still go just to like better understand, just to better be emotionally aware,
I
just
think
emotionally intelligent. Like, it benefits you so much just to have someone from a medium ground tell you and help you process your emotions. Like, it's really thrilling. Like, damn, I should be a therapist. No, not me, but like, like therapists are not, on the back burner here. Like, they are like pillars of our society. Like everyone should have their own personal. Yes, they're doing God praise. Anyways.
I think, I'll take it from you. I think therapy it's a good thing, right? You shouldn't feel embarrassed about going. I think we all are starting to get more comfortable with Gen Z millennials talking about therapy and prioritizing mental health.
Nothing
We
to be
fucking love
ashamed
it.
of.
So anyway, if you all care, I see a therapist once a week. It's freaking amazing. It's the highlight of my week. It's a Monday because Mondays are the worst. But I think it's really important for me and for your relationship. I mean, we're on the same timeline right now. Like, it's really only a few months ago. I don't know. We're creeping up.
2 weeks apart.
Yeah, it was really close. And so, like, I'm still working through things. I plan to keep seeing my therapist. I will for the near future. I think one thing that, really pushed me besides trying to get out of this relationship was finding myself carrying a lot of these, like, not complaints, if you will, because they're valid, but, like, trying to make sure that I am not damaging other relationships in my life besides this, like, significant other, because that's just... I don't even know how to explain that. It's just clouding everything because of one person. Instead of dealing with the root cause, you're just going to carry it into everything else. That's just so tough.
Like, poisoning other parts of your life from this, like, poison from one part. Like,
and I think the
spreading it everywhere.
conversations I have with my friends and family now, just seeing a therapist regularly and all those things, like, they're just so much more meaningful. And I'm a deep conversationist as it is. So, whatever. But And I know that therapy isn't for everyone, or maybe you don't have access. And so I just kind of want to, I think for the longest time, my biggest barrier to therapy was my insurance company, health insurance or whatever. They didn't prioritize mental health. So finding a counselor, let me stress this, the right counselor, because if you see the wrong counselor, it's pretty much the same shit as not seeing one at all. Okay. So really do your research.
Your therapist, right? That's what they say.
Yeah. So it took me forever. My biggest barrier was I don't have enough time to like look for one and find compatibility and yada, 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 yada. I get that, homegirl. I get it. But there's a lot of things that you can do healthily to kind of like start this journey on your own and then be ready when you can take the time or find that therapist. So for me, that was like going to the gym or journaling, not like the typical sense of journaling, but like I wrote letters to everyone in my life. Ooh. Not everyone, but a lot of people. And most of them I did not share with everyone. I think the only letter I shared was with my father, and it's a totally different story. But everything else was just an internal thing where I had so much thoughts in my brain. I didn't want to talk to everyone else, but I needed to get it out. So I wrote it down. And that was, a really healthy way for me to start. It's kind of like starting therapy without seeing a therapist. So if you can't see a therapist, don't have the means of the money, everything, start writing letters to people that you think have
for you
impacted you, or you impacted them, or vice versa, and just start
even burn
somewhere.
it after.
Yeah, that's really empowering.
Get it out, burn it.
I've done that. That's super great. So anyway, whatever it looks like for you, maybe it's painting or writing or working out or whatever. Do it. Start somewhere if you can't do therapy, but I highly encourage that. And then 2 more things, and I'll just kind of wrap this shit up. I wasn't in a physically abusive relationship, but if you are, or that know someone who has, if you're physically afraid for your well-being, please, please, please reach out to a national domestic, abuse hotline, domestic violence hotline. Please make sure that your safety comes first. A lot of these things, I'm encouraging you, we all are, to seek healthy relationships and things like that. But if you're physically scared, try and make the necessary steps to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, okay? And I know that's hard to do, and you don't want your other person to know and all these things, but please, I just can't stress that enough. And then lastly, I think treatment after the relationship is over. So I'm out of the situation now, and I'm thankful for that. I'm also thankful for a lot of the things that relationship taught me, okay? So I don't want to sit here and be the victim or let that person control the rest of my life path, right? So I could grieve over it, cry a few days, maybe a few weeks. In my instance, it was a lot longer than that. But, you know, validate your feelings and then
feel the feelings.
Start working on what's next. So for me, again, that was therapy. But if it looks different for you, that's fine. But once you leave this relationship, just know that your healing process and getting over that, it's not over. That's the beginning.
It's not a linear journey.
That was the first step,
Ups
and that's
downs.
probably one of the hardest steps. But keep going, keep working on yourself, and try and find yourself. I'm still in the midst of that. I look to this girl right here to kind of, you know, show the way, if you will. We just kind of talk back and forth and FaceTime and all the time. But there's so much to learn from each other. And one more thing, I keep saying that. If you or yourself, actually, more so if your friend is in one of these situations or you think that they are, or maybe your relationship hasn't been strong in a while because of a new relationship or something, or I don't know, something seems off, reach out to them. I think those were some of the most important moments to me, is for me to feel comfortable in leaving my situation or feeling comfortable to talk about it was when people let me know that they cared about me, because this person made me feel like they were the only one who cared about me and that I wasn't going to be okay without them. But if you reach out to these friends, maybe it's just a, hey, I'm thinking about you, let's get coffee, or maybe just, hey, I miss you, or whatever it is. Just let them know they're not alone. That's it. And maybe if you I don't know, if you don't want to talk about it, I guess, you know, that's fine too, or you're not that close. But that's a huge step in getting, you know, the first steps of healing for leaving abusive relationships. So anyway, I'm going to hop off my soapbox, but just know if you're in this type of relationship, or you've been there before, or maybe sometime in your life you experience this, you're not alone. I'm so sorry that you're going through this. You are loved by so many other people other than the person that has made you feel this way, and there are so much greater things to come beyond this. So anyway, I love you. I'm shooting you love right now, okay? Girl talk. Girl talk.
Thank you for being willing to share all of that.
Yeah.
Yes, actually.
Seriously.
No, absolutely.
Because it's not easy, it's not pretty, it's not like, it's fucking real shit that hurts a lot. And I think that just says a lot about you and like your character, and that you're willing to share it. And it's not like it was years and years ago. Like, it was pretty recent. And I think that's really like brave and super just great and noble of you to be willing to share that. And
I think, you know, part of I was embarrassed to share these things right before, like I mentioned, but the moment I started kind of feeling differently about this was talking about it. And I know that for everyone, it's not the time to talk about it, but again, start journaling, doing all these things so you are ready. But the moment I started talking about it, validating my feelings, I keep saying that because it's so important, and then taking that like victim mentality out of it and owning that and turning it into something beautiful where I take away the power from that person.
They're not doing it to you.
So now I can talk about it here today. I haven't cried, which is absolutely amazing.
Totally normal, by the way. It's not because you're like feelingless and emotionless, and like, it's just because you tough girl.
You've grown from it.
But I think it's taking the power back, right? And it's kind of a little empowering. And so now here I am.
No, that's the thing. That's what it is. It's like, when you're done with the victim mentality in any aspect of your life, you're taking back your own empowerment. Because nobody's fucking making you do anything. Like, nobody's making you be this, nobody's making you be that. Like, you're not small, you're not weak, you're not this. Like, you're fucking owning it. And that's what's so great about being able to share. Like, you've owned your story, and you're able to share and hopefully help other people.
Yeah.
And that means that only is possible when you accept all the parts, even the scary parts, the sad parts, the shitty parts, embarrassing parts. Like, you're owning all of that. You're not the victim, and you're here to share. Like, that's what's super empowering. So,
and everyone's journey looks different. So if you're not on the same page as Kath or myself or anyone you know, that's okay. Like, give yourself grace. and focus on
Give
yourself. And
grace. Yeah.
I'm still working through some shit, okay? Like, I do not have my shit together. I'm not preaching to you or on my soapbox right now. I just said that, but that's not really what's going on. Like, I'm sharing my experience because I want people to know who've been in the same situation or feel like there's
You're
no
not
hope.
alone.
Because I've been there. There is. And it's an ongoing process. You know, I'm still working on myself, but I don't know. I just, if there's anything that you relate to this or like start looking inward and feel like there's things that you could possibly be doing, listen to it. You're not wrong. When I had
Listen
that
to your
back of the mind thing,
intuition.
it's so true.
You know that quote, you guys? It says that gut feelings are guardian angels. And I'm about to print that out and explode it on a 24 by 36 print, frame it, and put it in my bedroom because that is the most truest thing that I have ever heard, okay? I'm not even because I'm a little tipsy, but because it's actually true. Because even though you may not feel like you have the best, what's that called? Intuition or the best, you know, what's that called? Instincts. Like your gut feeling always is your advocate.
Has your back.
Yeah, has your back throughout the whole way from start to beginning, baby to old lady.
That's why I started Googling things. That was my intuition.
Start to finish because
Yeah.
you know it deep down, and maybe I don't know if it's your heart. No, it's your gut speaking.
Yeah.
But your heart and your mind is playing tricks on you.
I'm like, my gut has IBS, so I don't know if I'm going to listen to that bitch.
But it's like pulling you different directions and everything. But really though, like you know what's right, whether you don't think you're as emotionally intelligent or emotionally aware as you think you are. Like your gut knows. It's always going to advocate for you. It's always going to, you know, be on your team. Yeah,
I'm going to tell you right now, and this is maybe some truth y'all already hear, but if you're listening to this podcast and you start thinking about your relationship and you relate to a few things and you're starting to think about these topics that we're talking about, I hate to break it to you, that's your intuition, right? Like if you
dive
are
deeper
in
now.
a really healthy relationship, you won't kind of think these things. You'll maybe think about other people or I don't know. Maybe there might be some little nuggets that you kind of take from this and think about your own relationship, but it won't really affect you in the way that I'm talking about right now. So if that's really where you're at right now, listen to yourself.
Like if this is you need a sign, like this is a sign. Take the sign.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That was really powerful. Literally all of that was super, super powerful and impactful. And I just want to thank you guys again so much for being willing to share. And hopefully just being like open to share the shitty parts of life so that other people can, you know, relate and learn and grow from it. I think that's really great. So thank
Sending
you.
all kisses, okay?